One of the many reasons that you are not in the place that you want to be is because you're not moving with a sense of urgency and momentum. And a lot of the times we allow stress and the negative emotions to imbue us with this clouded sense of judgment and of reality, so much so that we are not even willing to be alone with ourselves and our thoughts because the conglomerate emotions themselves are almost too much to handle. And so, whenever we are going through these motions of life where it's like we are having stress just completely take us over, stress is just it's like whenever you make a mistake and you know it's a mistake, right? And then you know that it can be a costly mistake. In many ways, it can feel like the stars above are really raining down fire upon you. And to overcome anxiety, to overcome this stress, what we must do is be willing to put ourselves at ease. Sometimes we're so busy and caught up in what we need to do and what we have to do and what we need to do and what we have to do. You know, I was talking to some guy at the gym this morning, and this guy was just tired. Like he was just like, "Man, I'm tired today, man." Like, and he's usually a pretty happy-go-lucky kind of guy. You know, he's usually a very smiley guy, and today he was just tired, and he was just like, "My kids stayed up all night, and work is going crazy." Like you could just tell that this was his energy, and I looked at him and I said, "Look, man, we here we don't have time. We don't have time to think about that kind of stuff. We have to just do things." And sometimes the best thing that you can do is to do nothing. You have to just sit there with yourself, be with yourself, go out and just accept that this is where you're at in your life right now. And you have to have a clear sense of path and a clear sense of judgment going forward. Otherwise, you're going to get deeper into the maze and you're not going to be able to see the monsters around the corner. If you're not able to look at the monsters around the corner and to see the tendencies that you have to make when you are in stress, that's another thing that you have to look out for. What kind of things are you looking at in yourself? Where what kind of behaviors are you making and decisions are you making and behaviors you're exhibiting when you are stressed and when you are going through these kinds of things? Are you willing to do what you need to do to get what you want? You have to honestly ask yourself that question. And you have to move with a sense of urgency, right? In order for a helicopter to get off the ground, what do the propellers need to do? They have to spin pretty damn fast, right? They have to get going. They have to really get momentum. Same thing with a rocket ship. It needs a lot of thrust in the engines in order to shoot up into outer space. You can't go into outer space. You can't shoot for the moon and have an engine that powers a Prius. Like that's just not going to work. You're not going to get to the moon with a engine of the Prius, right? So we have to have a proper engine. We have to have the proper resources. We have to have the proper understanding of what it's going to take to get to the moon. Think about Elon Musk's business and with SpaceX and the space industry itself. They're now making these replaceable engines and these reusable engines that can branch off of the rocket once it's in space and then land back down like flat on the ground or over the water rather. But they can do that. They can do that. And it took a lot of engineering power. It took a lot of sustainability, exercising. It took a lot of things to make that happen. And Elon Musk even said in one of the interviews, I think, where it's kind of like imagine a broomstick falling from the sky and getting it to land straight. That's the kind of engineering that it takes to get that kind of engine to be where it needs to be. So how do you think that you're supposed to organize your life and get certain momentum and speed in your life if you're trying to get to the moon with a Prius engine? It's just, I don't even think Prius has an engine, right? It's just a battery. So it's not even the proper tool. Like, you're not even getting the proper tools to get to where you need to be in the first place. So how are you supposed to overcome the stress of getting where you need to be if you don't have the proper resources? Well, you've got to go out and get the proper resources. You've got to increase your awareness through getting stuff done. And sometimes that can be as simple as just going for a walk. It can be as simple as going for a run. It can be as simple as going to just do anything. Anything but continue to sit on your behind and watch people live their lives to the best of their ability. Meanwhile, you're sitting here and doing God knows what. Now, if you're watching videos like this and on other channels like this, the information is only as valuable to you, because this information that I'm providing is valuable. The information is only as valuable to you as you allow it to be. And you can only do with this information what you will. All of the people that I've talked to that have actually applied what I recommend in their life, what do they say? My life got better over time. Everything was more solid. I feel much better. They're making progress. And some have told me that it's completely reshaped their lives. I've had YouTube comments in the past that have said that if it wasn't for the things that I said, they wouldn't have had the motivation to get out there and do what they needed to do. Now, I don't really think that motivation exists. Motivation exists within your own mind. But think about this, right? There are certain endorphins that are being released when you work out. There are certain endorphins that are being exhibited, and you can have different kinds of levels of serotonin as well when you are a physically active person. When you are someone that is physically active, that you are doing what you need to do, you are making accomplishments, you are making steps toward your goal. When you are doing these things, ultimately what you are signaling to your biology and your psychology is that you are a doer. You are doing things. You are getting things done. And for men, like Andrew Huberman, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right actually, but Andrew Huberman, who is a scientist, has said that testosterone for men makes effort feel good. So for the men out there that are watching this video, whenever you put effort into something and you see the results, it's going to be the time of your life. Like, sincerely. I can't tell you, when I was a weak, insecure, unmotivated, unambitious man, when I was like 20 years old, 21 years old, I was just living to live. I didn't have a purpose. I didn't have a sense of direction. And I felt so far away from God in some senses that I didn't know if I was going to I didn't know if I was going to ever be able to crawl out of the hellhole that I was in. I really did not know. Because internally, my internal structure, my internal being was just so effed up. It was just so screwed that I really didn't know if I was going to be able to move to the places and move to do the things that I wanted to do. And so what did I do? I decided to settle. I decided to allow the stress to overtake me. I decided to allow everything about my life and everything that I wanted to do with it to be completely just given unto the existence. I didn't want to go and take what I wanted as a man. As a man, we have to be willing to take what we want. We have to go after it. And that may sound like counterintuitive, but if you're not going to go to take what you want as a man, I really don't think that you can be a man properly. And the reason for that is because you have to be willing to provide and protect for yourself, number one. And if you can't provide and protect for yourself, how in the halibut are you going to be able to provide and protect for anybody else out there? You've got to make sure that you are doing your due diligence and overcoming the stress that you need to do day to day to make yourself stronger. If you are not making yourself stronger, by definition, you are either plateauing or you're weakening yourself. If you are weakening yourself, if you're kind of going like this, look, some of that it might just be age, but look, look at someone like David Goggins, who is 50 years old now, something like that. He's either approaching 50 or he is 50. This man is an ex-Navy SEAL that can outperform like 18-year-olds. I know he can outperform me. Like, this guy can totally outperform me. Now, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I'm going to improve and make sure that I'm going to, at least as far as the physicality is concerned, he can definitely outperform me. But us men have to take back our competition. We have to remember that we live in a competitive world, and that competitive world is going to determine where we are placed in good or bad situations. This will placate your decision making for the future, and it will also serve as something that is not necessarily a platitude of your existence, but it will be something that configures and conforms your own world on your own terms if you can do so yourself. If you can create a life in which you can allow other people to enter your world on your terms, especially as a man, because that's the most important thing as a man, like, and especially with women. Maybe I'll just make a video on that separately, but because women can be stressful for a lot of men out there if they don't know what they're doing. And it's true that a lot of these women out here, they just like to play games, but I've seen with my own two eyes that there are good quality women, but it takes time, it takes energy, it takes resources, it takes a healthy body, it takes a healthy mind, and it takes following God and being close to the source of creation in order to attract and keep that kind of caliber of woman. So with that being said, to stop the stress, ultimately what you're going to want to do is hit the reset button, because sometimes stress can be like the engine boiling over on your car. It can be like you are seeing this before you and you're seeing the steam start to pop out of the hood. Well, you'd kind of be an idiot to keep driving if you're not getting certain things, like if you're not getting certain signals that it's okay actually. So you want to make sure that you are staying consistent. You want to make sure that the engine's not going to blow up on you. Now, that's just one way of dealing with stress, but ultimately the best way to deal with stress is to start moving in some way, shape, or form, or to stop moving completely. Because a lot of the times stress comes from moving, but not moving with a purpose. It comes from moving, but moving against your will. So move for your will, move for God's will, or just cease moving altogether and collect yourself before moving on. And with that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful, and may the grace of Jesus be with us all.